Right now, you can walk into a room and forget why you came. It happens to everyone. You stand up with a reason, a clear one. Get the charger, grab the keys, check the stove. You cross the house, and somewhere on the way, that reason is gone. Not fuzzy, gone. You blame your age, your phone, your tired, overloaded mind. It's none of those. Because the thing that wiped your thought wasn't the distraction, it was the door. And once you see why, you'll never walk through one the same way again. Here's what almost nobody realizes about their own memory. You don't live your life as one long continuous stream. Your brain can't afford to. The world pours in too fast and too much detail for any mind to hold all of it at once. So it does something quietly radical, thousands of times a day. It cuts. It slices your experiences into separate pieces, scenes, episodes. A conversation, a task, a walk to the kitchen. Scientists call them events, and every time one event ends, another begins. Your brain does a small act of bookkeeping. It decides what to keep in reach and what to pack away. For most of human history, that bookkeeping kept us alive, and it's still running right now in you. Let's start with what your brain is actually doing there. Picture a move, packing up a whole house. You don't carry the entire home at once. You can't. So you load one room into a box. What matters here? Right now. Within reach, lid open. Then you walk to the next room, and your brain does something strange. It tapes the old box shut and hands you a fresh, empty one. This isn't a metaphor your brain finds poetic. It's closer to the actual design. Each space gets its own box and its own small world of what matters. And the thought you were holding, the reason you stood up, get the charger, that thought was packed into the last box. The one your brain just sealed. You walked into the kitchen holding the wrong box. An empty one. For a long time, nobody tested any of this. It felt too ordinary to study. Then someone looked. In 2006, a psychologist named Gabriel Radvansky at the University of Notre Dame ran a deceptively simple experiment. He had people move through a virtual space, picking up an object from one table, carrying it, settling it down to another. Sometimes they crossed the same distance inside one open room. Sometimes they carried it through a doorway into a second room. Same distance, same time, same object in hand. The only difference was the door, and the door wrecked them. The people who passed through the doorway forgot what they were carrying far more often than the people who walked the same distance in the open. Not a feeling, a measurable drop in memory. But a virtual room is just a screen. Maybe part of the brain knew that it wasn't real. So in 2011, Radvansky and his colleagues built it in the physical world. Real tables, real objects hidden in real boxes, a real door. Same result. Walk across the room and you remember. Cross the threshold and you forget. And then they ran the version that should genuinely unsettle you. They sent people back through a doorway into a new room, then through a second doorway, returning them into the exact room where they began. If the forgetting was just about standing somewhere unfamiliar, coming home should undo it. It didn't. Returning to the very spot where the thought was born did not bring the thought back. The damage was never the new room. It was the crossing itself. And it wasn't simply that more time had slipped by. The trips took the same handful of seconds either way. Time wasn't erasing the thought. The boundary was. So why would a brain ever be built this way? Why would it sabotage its own memory at something as small as a doorway? Because it isn't sabotage. It's efficiency, and it's ancient. Scientists even have a name for the cut. They call it an event boundary. A psychologist named Jeffrey Sachs at Washington University in St. Louis spent years showing that the mind is always slicing experience into separate events, and that these invisible seams are exactly where memory reshuffles itself. The doorway is just one of the cleanest, most physical seams there is. Cross it, and your brain decides that the last episode is finished. Think about what threshold meant to them, to the people we descend from. For them, crossing into a new place was almost never trivial. A new clearing, the mouth of a cave, the far bank of a river. A new place meant new ground, new predators, new things that suddenly mattered, and old things that suddenly didn't. The smartest move a brain could make was to let the last place go. Drop what was useful back there, load what's useful right now. Be completely present where your body actually stands. A mind still clinging to the last clearing is a mind not watching this one. And in a world full of things that could kill you, the one not watching this one died. So the brain did the brutal, brilliant thing. It tied your memory to your location. Move and it refreshes. The forgetting isn't a flaw in the machine, the forgetting is the machine, doing precisely what it was shaped to do. But here's where it gets stranger. If the door is just a physical object, wood and a frame, and a gap in the wall, then surely you don't have to actually walk through one of them to make this happen. You don't. In 2014, two researchers, Zachary Lawrence and Daniel Peterson at Knox College, pushed the experiment somewhere almost absurd. They didn't make anyone walk anywhere. They had people sit still, study a room, and then simply imagine standing up and walking through a doorway. No movement, no real door, just a door in the mind. And the forgetting happened anyways. Picturing yourself crossing a threshold was enough to seal the box. Sit with that. You could be sitting perfectly still, body unmoved, and the door that exists only in your imagination can reach in and quietly carry off a thought you were holding a second ago. The trigger was never the wood, it was the boundary, and your brain will draw a boundary out of nothing at all. And it gets quieter and a little worse. Newer work suggests you may not even need to reach the door. The forgetting can begin the moment you anticipate crossing one. Your brain starts taping the box shut before you've even taken the step. Now look at the world you actually moved through. They lived across open land in a world with almost no walls. You live inside a grid of thresholds, doorways, hallways, stairwells, gates, and the invisible ones nobody thinks to count. Every time you close one window and open another, every app you swipe away, every tab, each one a tiny boundary, each one a small seal. For nearly all of human history, a person crossed a handful of real thresholds in a day. Your home alone might hold a dozen of them, between your bed and the front door. You cross hundreds, billions of people every single day walking into rooms and arriving with nothing in their hands. The same ancient system that once kept them sharp in a dangerous new place is firing now over and over all day long in a world we built entirely out of doors. So here's the question worth sitting with. What if the thing you've been calling a broken memory was never broken at all? You walk into the kitchen empty-handed, mind suddenly blank, feeling like you're quietly falling apart. You're not. That blank space is not a hole in your mind. It's a clean surface. Your brain packed the old room away exactly the way it was built to, and handed you a fresh box for the room you're standing in now. A brain that never let go, that dragged every thought from every room into the next, forever, with no boundary and no relief. That would be the broken one. You would drown in it. Every face you've ever passed, every room you've ever stood in, every reason you've ever forgot. All of it open at once, all of the time. No mind could think under that weight. The very reason you can fully be here in this room with this person on this one task is the same reason you forgot why you came. The forgetting is not the failure. It's the price of being present. You're not losing your mind. You're running a very old one, exactly as designed. And here's the strangest part of it all. You'll do it again today, probably within the hour. You'll stand up with a clear reason, cross the threshold, and arrive holding nothing. But now you'll know what happened. Somewhere between one room and the next, your brain quietly taped the box shut with the only thing you wanted still sealed inside. They built no walls, and the system made perfect sense. We filled our entire world with doors, and we called it home. The thought was never lost. It's just in the last room, sealed and waiting on the other side of a door you already walked through.